Hello everyone, this is Diane from Stamping with Diane in Innisfil, Ontario, and I am very excited to show you the T stamping technique today. So you may start with a full-size sheet of cardstock. I've chosen basic white, or you can trim 1 inch off the length and the width and do it that way. So that's how I've chosen to do it today. So this is our regular size cardstock with 1 inch trimmed off, which means it is now 7.5 by 10. Now I'm going to bring in my ruler here, and I'm just going to mark the halfway point on my page. So I know this is 10 inches long, so I'm going to mark at the 5 inch, and the other direction, I know it's 7.5 inches wide, so I'm going to mark it at 3 3/4. Okay, and then I'm going to just put a very faint pencil line down to mark that halfway on both sides. The other way you can do this is you could use your scoring tool and very lightly score a line, because we will be cutting this. Okay, so a score line would work just fine, but I'm just going to use a soft pencil line. So now I have 4 equal rectangles, and that's where we're going to do our stamping today. Now I'm going to also bring in my little scrap and make sure I stamp on that area as well. Today I'm using the Leaves of Holly stamp set, and I'm also pulling one back from last year's catalog, the Christmas season. My purpose in doing this is to show you can pull stamp sets from different years and use what you have on hand. So what we're going to be doing is stamping across this T sectioned area. So I'm going to start with my smaller of the very detailed leaves, holly leaves. When I have the photopolymer, I always press down just to make sure. Now, I often will stamp using our piercing mat underneath, but I am going to be going off the page here. So what I'm going to do is slide it underneath my work surface. There. Okay. So using my largest, when you're doing this technique, you'll want to start with your largest size stamp. And I've chosen some Christmas colors because I'm going to be making this into some Christmas cards today. So I've got some soft succulent here. Now this is something you might want to just kind of watch the first little bit. The key is really turning your stamp and your page as you work around. And I'm crossing over that midline on purpose, okay? Crossing over that midline and putting some one way, some the other way. Let's go this way. This I find really, really fun, because you never know exactly how it's going to turn out. And that's the fun part about stamping. Now, some people really like to have a design in mind. So I do have the overall design in mind. Now I'm going to bring in this little strip that I had, and I'm just going to do a few random stamps across this as well. And you'll see why when we get near the end of our project. And we can even do some stamping off, second generation stamping in there. Okay, so I filled that up quite nicely. I'm going to set aside my soft succulent, and I'm going to bring in a darker shaded spruce now. And so for this one, let's choose a different stamp. How about, no, you know what, I'm going to change my mind for a second, and I'm going to switch over to the soft suede and crumb cake to do some two-step stamping with some pine cones. I love the pine cones that are from last year's Christmas season. There's a larger and a smaller one, and let's use a couple of them. So it is two-step, which means there's an outline and then there's a more detailed that will layer on top. So I'm going to choose the larger. There's one, and here's the second one. So you need to look at them carefully. This one is the background, and then this one is more detailed. I'll show you that just on the paper so you can see the difference. So the detailed, I'm putting in the darker tone of soft suede, and the more complete, I'm putting in the crumb cake. And I'm just kind of setting that on top. And there you go. You can see the two sides. Now you can do it either order. You can put the background and then fill it in, or this way. It really doesn't matter. All right, so I would like to add a few of those to our T-square. So I'm going to start over here, and again follow that idea of turning my stamp as I go and just filling in some of these spaces. Overlapping is a good thing. Okay, it's fine to let your stamps overlap. And at this point now, I'm going to pull in 4 Post-it notes. And that is just to remind me that I want to leave some of this space free and clear, because I'm going to be adding sentiments. So I'm just kind of blocking that off. You don't need to do that step, but it's just a little bit of a visual reminder. All right, coming in now with the more detailed and the little bit darker. Might stamp this one off once and see how that looks. And then again, as I said, it doesn't have to line up oh, I like that, absolutely perfectly, because nature is unique, isn't it? Each pine cone in nature is slightly different. Okay, I'm liking this stamped off look. So continuing that around, and there's some pine cones. Okay, so this is starting to fill in. I'm going to set those aside. I may come back and add 1 or 2 more. I'm bringing in the spruce now. And I think with this spruce, I would like to add this little evergreen bough. So tap, tap. Let's see how dark that's going to go. Okay, I think that's going to be just fine. And now I'm just going to kind of add a few of these in. And turn and stamp. That's the trick here. Turn and stamp, twist and stamp. And now I'm going to do a few second generations. Like that. So the second generation again is just you're not re-inking in between. And we need one over here. Okay, and I'm bringing back my little strip here. I'm going to add some of these little spruce boughs. Are they spruce boughs? I'm calling them spruce boughs because I'm using shaded spruce. However, they could very well be evergreen boughs. All right, and I'm going to just do a little bit of my pine cones on here too. A few of the pine cones. Adding those in. And fill in the darker. As I said, I really think this is super fun. A super fun way to create unique projects. And again, you'll see what I'm going to do with that at the end. All right, so this is starting to look complete. We want to keep going a little bit more. So next, I think we would like to add some little filler dots. So the first filler dots I'm going to use are the holly berries from, again, the Christmas season. And so let's pull in a little bit of real red for our holly berries. So because they are holly berries, I'm going to kind of position them near those original holly leaves. Oops, oh, that was me. That was because I didn't have it fully on the mat. Good, good save, Diane. There we go. Adding a little touch of this brighter color with some berries. And again, letting them go off the page is a good plan. There we go. So that's filling that in. Let's add a few of those holly berries here. Now I'm not going to worry so much about getting them right with the leaves. You'll see what this is for. There we go. Okay, and now from the Forever Fern, quite a few of our stamp set have these little splatter dots, I like to call them. So I'm going to really lightly add in some splatter dots. And for that, I'm going to use a really light Sahara sand. Okay, so let's see what that's going to look like first. Yes. So just all over, kind of letting that fill in any spaces. Round and around. Now I don't need the mat underneath because this is a rubber-backed cling stamp, but it's not hurting anything by having it there. Okay, I'm wondering how filled that looks. So I am thinking, of course, of Christmas for this. So I think I'm going to actually leave it there for now. Oh, I don't know, maybe a few more little bits. Let's see what we could add for just a few more little bits. Let's go to the Tag Buffet. Has a few little sprigs here. Let's see what they look like. If you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, then you likely have quite a few of these little small stamps, which I think work really well for this kind of a thing. And let's see, perhaps we'll add one more shade of green. So I've chosen the soft sea foam. As I tend to build out my designs, I tend to kind of go from darker to light. So you notice that we started with the large shapes and we moved out towards smaller shapes. And as we fill in, I'm filling in, I'm kind of getting lighter shades as we go. Okay, so again, just randomly pop these things in wherever you think there's a bit of a space. Now, if you're concerned and nervous about this stage, don't worry, because we are going to still have the ability to touch things up once we get to the next stage. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'll bring in our strip once again, add some of this color to it. Filling in some of those spots. All right. Okay, next step is I'm going to bring in my cutter and we're going to slice down on our halfway lines. Okay, so with my cutter, I've kind of lost those pencil lines, but I know where I had marked them. I'd marked them at 3 3/4 inches because that was half of the 7 1/2. And I'm going to slice right down the center. And now I'm going to take both because our trimmer certainly can go through 2 layers. and put this at the 5-inch mark because that's the half of the 10, and slice through there. Okay, now here's our reveal. What do we think? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 card fronts now that can layer onto our card bases. Now, as we're getting ready to layer them on our card bases, I've given you just basic white as the card base. So I'm just going to take a second and pull the mat out now from underneath there. I'm not sure I had scored these. If you haven't scored them and you don't want to score them, a little trick is just to use the edge of your cutting trimmer and burnish the edge down there. Okay, and same thing. So this is going to make 4. All right, I now have 4 card bases, and I've cut 2 real red backings. These are the 1/2 inch smaller, or sorry, I think I did these 1/8 of an inch smaller. And then our card is going to layer like this. Now, the fun part about this is with these designs, you can decide if you'd like it to be kind of an L shape, and we'll put our sentiment up here, or if you would like it to be this way and make it a landscape card, then that's where the fun comes in. Okay, and we can add a few finishing touches there. Now, I've also cut 2 backings from our Pretty Prints paper, the Pretty Prints designer paper, and it coordinates with lots of with the shaded spruce and the soft sea foam that I used. So you could choose the more muted side or the side that has a little bit of pattern here, up to you. But again, you're not really going to see too much of it. So I think I'm just going to use the plain side, and then choose the ones that you think coordinate best. Okay, at this point I've decided I'm going to do 2 landscape orientations and 2 portrait orientations, and then I can remove my sticky notes here. And I'm going to pull in one of our newest stamp sets, and it is called Framed Florets, I believe. Here it is. It is called, yeah, Framed and Festive, and it's part of our brand new suite, the Framed Florets, Fitting Florets suite. You'll see it on my website at stampinup.net, Diane Thatcher. I love these because there's some nice large sentiments here that are great for the holidays. So I'm going to go ahead, and some of these I'm going to use, well, let's pull some out and we'll see what we've got, because some of them will suit the different orientations. So have yourself a merry little Christmas. Looks nice that way. 'Tis the season to be jolly. May this season be filled with peace and joy. And we could do From Our Home to Yours, or we could do Noel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's stamp some of these, and I'm going to match the backing with the color, but a couple of them I might do some heat embossing on. So I'd like the real red on here. So I've got my real red. Here's the block. Tap, tap, tap. Test it first. Now let's make it a single layer. So I'm stamping on a flat surface, and I'm going to pop that "'Tis the Season to be Jolly" right in the center of that card. Love it. And that is going to layer here. Now I'm wondering about possibly adding a little tree ornament. So I had some tree ornaments from last year's Stars Are Shining, and they're just small little guys, and they might just be really cute to add a couple of these in here. So let's pull in one of my A blocks, pop that on, and I want these, the reason I didn't add them before is I want them to be upright. I didn't want my ornaments to be upside down, so I wanted to decide on the orientation first. So I think a little bit of Blackberry Bliss might look cute here. So just a light tap tap, and I just want a couple. Just to give that extra festive look. And I think I'm going to pop one on the inside of this as well. So just down in the corner. So now we've just made it a little bit more festive. And I think I want a little something up in this corner. So I'm going to come back now with this one, which I had used. The soft succulent was one of our first ones. So this is where you can go back and have some fun and add in a few more designs. And of course, we'll stick a little bit of our little dots in there. So doesn't that tie that together nicely? And then I'm going to mount that together, and it doesn't even really need embellishing. Okay, so I'm going to take some time and fix up a few more of these, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back, and we have all of these now glued together. So I've used the adhesive of choice. You can use the white glue or your Stampin' Seal, whichever you prefer. So what I've done here is I've stamped my sentiment in the soft succulent to coordinate with the backing, and then I decided to add a little embellishment down in the corner as well, and I just thought that finished that off and tied in the card nicely, and thought I'd pop one on the inside as well, again just to coordinate. The next one I did in the landscape, again with the soft succulent ink, and I put another pine cone up in the corner, again to kind of coordinate there. And then those strips that we were making at the beginning, all I've done is cut a strip to put inside the card, and then taken my Sahara sand and just included these dots across to tie it all together. So another use for these strips is you could decorate the envelope. So you could either glue a strip across the top flap of your envelope, or you could put it across the bottom, or you could trim it down if you wish. And whoever is receiving this card is going to know that there's some very special mail inside when they see the envelope decorated like that. So the next one I put onto our real red backing, and I used our gold embossing on that one. Again, added a holly leaf up in the corner. And then if I needed to, I added a little bit of extra red just to pop that red if I was missing some on the front. Added my little pine cone down here. And finally, on the last one, remember I'd stamped some ornaments, so I popped an ornament down into the corner. Again, if you prefer, you could put a strip like this or like this across the inside of your card, up to you. And then for this one, I decided to die cut a few of the holly leaves and berries. I popped those on in the top corner with dimensionals, and then added a wee bit of Wink of Stella here just to give those a little bit of sparkle. So these cards, I have not added any ribbon, string, or bling to them. I think they're beautiful as is. Then when you decorate up your envelopes, you have this beautiful set of cards, which would look lovely if you pop them all together in one of our, these are called craft gift boxes. They come as one, and all you need to do is follow the score lines, fold. It's got some double-sided tape all the way on, already on here. You're going to fold, and you could put all your cards inside and let them peek through this lovely window. So what a lovely gift that would be for somebody. So I hope you've enjoyed that learning about how to use the T square, or the T format, T-shape I should call it, format for your cards. Lots of stamping, lots of fun, lots of versatility, and I really loved the Framed and Festive stamp set, which is only available now online during November and December. So go to my online store, dianethatcher.stampingup.net, and I will see you next week, my friends. Bye for now.